Good morning, good noon, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Magnolia Webinars. Today, we'll be talking about AI, bringing AI to content workflows, making the promise of generative AI real. Now, my name is Cass, and I'll be your moderator for today. Like my colleague here, we are from Magnolia, the world's leading composable DXP, with over 450 enterprise customers and more than 200 certified Magnolia partners around the world. We help businesses like yours build great digital experiences by deeply integrating our DXP with other content sources and tools in your businesses. Now, it's all about you, right? So we create this single interface that lets your team easily manage dynamic, personalized experiences throughout the customer journey. Now, we're both part of Magnolia Services. 8 years with Magnolia now. I'm specifically overseeing Magnolia Professional Services and also driving customer engagement initiatives. Now, our AI maestro is here with me, Jan. Quickly tell us a little bit about you and how you ended up with AI.
Yep. So my name is Jan Schulte. I'm here, head of consulting, over 11 years in with Magnolia. And yep, the AI journey really started pretty early on for me. In university, I was just writing my first small few neurons, kinda. But obviously, that was just the time when AI was at its infancy. And then I think Magnolia picked AI pretty early on already when suddenly image recognition, all those things became a thing. We were pretty early on to utilize the services that were available back in the days. But obviously the turbocharged with AI was clearly that moment when ChatGPT entered the scene and those APIs were available. That was really this moment where it became clear, no, it's much more than just a thing that helps a little bit. This is really transformative.
Exactly. Now, speaking of AI, as we might know, we have various views and perspectives on AI. Some think of it as a passing hype, nearing the tail end, and some sincerely believe it is here to stay and here to aid us with our day-to-day work. Now, I'm one of those in between, and that's why I'm really happy to be here. I get Jan's perspective, and I also get to ask Jan, along with you, our audience. So let's get started. Before hearing you, Jan, let's ask our audience because we also want to get to know you. I see people from Spain, from Germany, from Italy, so we want to get to know you. How would you describe your level of expertise in AI? Or should I rephrase that one more time? How would you describe your level of expertise in using AI at work? Do you see yourself as a beginner or an expert? So while you answer and maybe reflect, please allow me to run some reminders. So this webinar is being recorded and it will be shared with you in the next few days. You can find additional supplementary resources around today's topic in the Docs tab on the right-hand side of the screen. In the Docs tab, you can download all documents related to this topic. So feel free to grab those supplementary documents. Now, very crucial differentiation. We got the chat tab. That's where you're dropping, where you're from. And we also have the Q&A tab. So chat is more, a lively exchange between you, us, and the production team, while the Q&A is where you officially drop your questions. So while Jan and I are having an exchange or Jan is teaching us about AI, you can drop your questions in the Q&A tab, the fourth tab that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. And finally, if you want to stay updated or get notified of new information related to AI or Magnolia, please do press the Get Magnolia newsletter button that you can see on the top screen. There's a blue button there that says Get Magnolia newsletter, so make sure to click so you can get the latest and greatest about AI or Magnolia. Now that we've settled all that, let's see where you are in AI. Do you see yourself as a beginner or an expert? All right. Okay, that's a good half. Okay, we got a few advanced users as well. Good to know. Experts. Okay. Then, hey, I'm happy to see that one. I'm not alone here. I'm more in the beginner. So great. Okay, Jan, I guess Jan is also happy with the mix, right?
Absolutely perfect. Yeah, couldn't be
Good.
better.
Awesome. Now, before I give it to you, Jan, let's ask him one more question. What are you actually using AI for? Is it more content creation, the typical, right? Image generation, translation, personalization, content optimization, analytics, or other really niche specific use cases? You can choose your answer from the poll tab. And if you're happy, share your experience or your use case in the chat. So this time we're making use of the chat if you're happy to share. Otherwise, you can simply answer the question or the poll. So what do you use AI for usually? And we'll give you time. While we give you the time, now let's get to the gist of this webinar. Jan, you are our AI maestro. Can you please give us an introduction to GenAI and teach us some steps on how to prompt like a pro?
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, really the absolute core thing that you have to take away, it's really, in the end, AI is just a tool. It's not like a Skynet that will automatically create all the content or do whatever. In the end, it is really just a tool. And really using tools like ChatGPT regularly already helps you quite a bit to broaden your knowledge on how to also prompt in a context like creating content with Magnolia. Just really imagine it also if you work with it, have some kind of mental model like, hey, this is just a very smart colleague kind of that I can just utilize to help me to come up with whatever solution or whatever, in our case, content that I might need. So in the end, to really become fluent, there's a lot of experimentation. And what you also have to keep in mind, no matter what kind of solution you use, might it be in content generation or also sometimes some analytic solutions and so on, in the end, all those solutions are just some kind of wrapper that just uses something like ChatGPT behind the scenes. And you can also emulate quite a few steps just in your textual console before you even write code or do anything like this. Just, for example, drop in some analytics data and start to ask questions about it. And once you really get this mindset on how you can utilize that tool, then also all the subsequent steps that you're going to take for, in our case, content generation, personalization, and so on, become much, much clearer on what's achievable and how certain things can be also integrated. And it will also help you to find new use cases that you maybe don't have on the radar yet, and you just find out, okay, there's a lot of room for automation to become more efficient, more quicker. So really the first thing that you have to keep in mind is, in the end, AI is just a tool. It's about finding the right use cases, and it's about proficiency on basically using that tool. That's the absolute foundation.
Okay, that's step one then. I would say LLM, just to add LLM as a versatile tool to power your business processes, just to make that one more official. Now let's move to step two.
Yep, the most important one. Again, it's a little bit like in real life. Context is absolutely everything. No matter how smart your peer is, if you just ask a random question and that person has no idea basically what the context, what the parameters are, a pretty high chance that you get some kind of information back that doesn't help you whatsoever. And it's a very same thing with an LLM in the end. An LLM has a world knowledge about many, many, many things, but if you don't give the right context, like, hey, please act as a marketeer, as a whatever it is, and use this and that language, and this is what it's all about in great detail, then pretty often you won't get the results that you really expect. So garbage in, garbage out. This is really what it is. It's being about context and being precise and bringing the right context into those questions. The more info you bring, the better the answer. Pretty important to keep this in mind.
I like that. I like that. Now, just before we move on to the other step that you probably have, you mentioned LLM. Now, we saw that there were like at least 20%, or was it more, beginners in the room. So maybe you can explain quickly what LLM is.
Yeah, sure. LLM is just this acronym for large language model. So yeah, if you use something like ChatGPT, and for sure everybody at least tried it quickly, the technology behind is always this large language model. It's just this gigantonormous matrix in the end that will be then just triggered by your tokens, by your text that you're going to send over it. And yeah, those LLMs are just really the basics, or it's just the core technology for ChatGPT, Anthropic, and what have you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I hope that clarifies the term. Now you have one more step, do you?
Yes, exactly. So as I already said, context is king. So you have to really just be precise. Hey, this is what it's all about. This is a language that should be used, and so on. There's a third step. I said, though, such an LLM always has this very broad knowledge base. But if you're going to use it for something specific to you, like describing a product, a tour, a service, whatever, obviously this LLM doesn't have all the information that you have. And that really adds also to this context bit. You have to absolutely provide this information to this LLM if you request for something. Otherwise, there's a pretty good chance that you get an answer back that sounds pretty good, and it will be dead wrong. That's basically called hallucination. Such an LLM is always trained to come up with something that sounds really, really good. And you absolutely don't want to have this if you're going to use an LLM to create content that is specific for you. And therefore, there's a nice trick. It's called RAG. And basically what you do is you're just going to provide all the information that is really relevant to answer a question or to just generate content around, let's say, a product. So RAG really means in the end, you automatically make this core data part of your prompt. Obviously, this is all about automation. You don't want to do this copy paste by hand. And this is where, for example, Magnolia's AI accelerator help you to automate a lot of those things. So it's not like in your chat console. For that, you just have those tools that you just basically need to be really proficient and to apply AI at scale, basically.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. And just for clarification, for people like me who are more project oriented, RAG means something else. RAG could mean red, amber, and green, but in this context, RAG means retrieval augmented generation. So just to recap, first step is LLM as a versatile tool to power your business processes. Second step, context is everything, right? Because we can be sincere, but we can be sincerely wrong, right? And the third step is enhancing accuracy with RAG. RAG is a retrieval augmented generation. And we have supporting blog for that one. So feel free to read up, discover how your AI workflows can be enhanced with RAG, retrieval augmented content generation, to learn more about RAG in AI context. Now, that sounds awesome so far. We got a few chats in there as well. We have some recaps in the chat so you can follow. Now, we have heard these 3 steps, and that sets the foundation for applying this theory in real life, right? It's great to hear the steps, but how do we apply them in real life or in their use cases? So First, let's go back and check out what you people are actually using AI for. So let's see the result of the poll. Content creation, yay, I'm one of those. Image generation, yes. All right, translation, interesting. Personalization, content optimization, take note of these, Ian. Analytics, okay. And others, perhaps, hey, those who answered others, if you can drop those examples in the chat, that would be lovely, just if you feel like so. All right. So the results are actually perfect where we're heading to. We'll now be diving into 3 real use cases, which are content creation, content optimization, and personalization.
Okay, let's take it to the test. Let's create some content with AI. So we go over here to my Pages app. We go here to an old version of Magnolia's website. And yeah, let's use AI to create something very basic. I'm just going to ask to keep it simple to generate some text. And it should be about, well, of AI, of course.
Magnolia AI accelerator create content at unparalleled speed. Okay, good. What's happening now is I just basically take this text here, I send it over to ChatGPT and basically ask it behind the scenes, could you please create some content around what we see here? Okay. And what we get for this, it's basically here this very simplistic text component. Experience the power of AI with Magnolia's AI Accelerator. Craft content rapidly, effectively, like never before. Okay, that's basically a pretty good start. However, what we did not do is we didn't tell the system exactly how to answer. I mean, sure, that reads pretty good, but maybe we have a different tone of voice and so on in mind. And therefore, let's do the same exercise again. So just also as some kind of opener into the concept of hyperprompts. Let's basically copy this headline here, and now basically I just do the same exercise. I'm going to generate a component. I want to have some text, but in this case I'm asking for a hyperprompt. What that is something that we're going to see in detail soon. So we just go here in and we go with let's say well, AI obviously, and what else? What should we do? OpenAI, for example. So as you can see, now we have from our hyperprompt already a lot of information for the AI system of choice, how the text should be actually paraphrased, how to answer. And what we also have is now information about keywords that should be used. And as you can see, now the text is much more enthusiastic, amplify your customer-centric content management strategy and so on. So this is basically what hyperprompts do. They help you to set the LLM really in the right mode. Okay, let's create this component here as well. And as you can see, now basically the tone of voice, the color of the content is now much different according to the hyperprompt that I just used. Okay, let's also have a look on another aspect. So let's go here to this column, and now let's generate a component, and we just go in this case with a card teaser. Magnolia AI Accelerator. Okay. And what I do now is I just basically query ChatGPT to create just a base component, and based on the configuration, certain fields are not even automatically configured. What's interesting here is it even took the right image from our repository based on metadata. Okay, so let's create this component here. And as you can see, this is obviously AI generated. And here's just some kind of base content. What we have, however, as well here is we have our AI fields from the AI Accelerator. And this is basically a great help to create content much faster. So let's take this one here, Magnolia AI Accelerator, create tone perfect content in seconds. Okay, what I can do now is I can just basically take parts of this text and I can, for example, extend it. So that means I just again tell ChatGPT, hey, this text here, please expand it. And with the help of our different hyperprompts and custom prompts, we can basically be very precise how this content should be crafted. Okay, so save changes. And here we go. We just created here this component. In this case, also the image pre-selection was just perfect based on image metadata that we have. Okay, those magical hyperprompts. Let's have a deeper look at those. If we go here to our prompts app, then basically each editor can create its own hyperprompts. It goes like this. You're just going to create a hyperprompt. So for example, blog posts. And you're just going to really write down how tone of voice, values, and so on should basically how those should be basically applied. And in this case, it's all about blog posts. You're going to write a blog post about topic, and then as an editor, you can basically bring in your own variables like whatever, extra info, you name it. Those fields are then basically available in those hyperprompts if I want to apply them like we have seen already. Okay, and obviously this is a really important step here. You can test those prompts, so you can be really sure that those prompts actually work if you start to apply them in production. Another thing that is super important, what we discussed already, is so it's all about context. What are you? What should you do? And pretty often you also need extra information from external systems. E-commerce, a very good example. So what we have here is just this product picker, and it's just a hyperprompt like we have seen, some kind of prompt template that you can just reuse all over the place again. And what you can do is you can just basically select new. You can tap into e-commerce systems, for example, or basically any REST endpoint works. And then you can just bring in information about, let's say, a mobile phone. In this case, those variables that are set here, they are automatically fed by this external data source. And out of a sudden, you can describe how basically the color of the voice should be, what kind of values are in there. Plus, you can ship very detailed information that help then basically the AI system to create content that really sticks to the facts. Okay. Since we have seen this, let's also apply it now in larger scale content production. For example, what we can do is we can create full stories with this AI co-pilot system in the end. So if I'm going to generate a full-fledged story, for example, then I can then just say, I want to write here this full blog post, and it's going to be about Magnus AI Accelerator, create tone perfect content in minutes or seconds, whatever it is, you get the idea. So in this case, what we have is now a two-step generation process. That means we just get here an outline how probably such an article might look like. So there's a typical introduction, benefits, how to create tone perfect content, case studies, success stories, and so on. So let's see. It would expand from learn about the cutting. Okay, that's pretty good. So we just take this here as a starting point. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tell it, please expand. Okay. So basically what it did, it just took the core information that was foreseen and it just expanded on it. What I can do, obviously, as well is I can extend this text here. So give more information about what kind of content should be part in this generation process. And obviously, as we have seen with RAG, I can also bring in product data from external data sources, for example. So let's do it one more time. I'm going to expand it. And what I can do is I can also not only rewrite it by hand, I can again use AI to basically rewrite it to something completely else. So I'm just going to say here, just to make it really visible, rewrite for LinkedIn with emojis, because nowadays everybody needs emojis on LinkedIn. And here we go. Now all of a sudden I have those typical LinkedIn emojis in this content that was already generated. So yeah, you get the idea. It's a really efficient way to create your content much, much faster. And it helps you also to always have the right tone of voice that you really need to have content that you can apply at scale. Okay, perfect. While we are at it, let's have also a look on how we can use some mechanisms to optimize content on the fly. So if we just look now on this article that was generated here, then we have all the content. So far, so good. Let's say we want to ABN test that article. So we want to have multiple variations of the headline that are then automatically tested. I could do this by hand, or again, since the AI accelerator is extremely flexible, I can just also come in with a custom widget, and this custom widget will automatically create multiple variants of the same content in no time. Okay, perfect. Let's have a look on another thing where we can basically apply content optimization. Some very simple thing. So if we go, for example, to a web page like this one here, then obviously one of the key tasks that I always have is what about those keywords? And what I can do is I can just go to the metadata and I can just ask to generate this metadata based on existing content that we have here on this website. So basically what we are doing here is we just query ChatGPT, look, here's everything to be found on this web page. Please give me a description, give me the keywords, and so on. So it becomes really easy and fast to get those otherwise very repetitive tasks done. Okay. And while we are at it, let's speak about personalization. Because personalization, again, this is one of those things where there was a lot of talk about in the industry for at least 10 years. One thing, however, basically holds the full story back. If I have 5 segments, I need 5x of this content. And creating this takes a long time. And again, what we can do is we can just use our AI accelerator and we can just say, okay, take this content and based on an existing segment, please generate some kind of variant that is really effective. So let's say I'm a young professional starter. And again, I could obviously use then hyperprompts to aid it in a certain direction. So in this case, we just take here the description of the segment. And now I'm going to generate a variant. Okay, and here we go. We have now our variant that is created, and basically now best-in-class content management integrations and so on, just with another image for a young person that is probably going to start their IT in content management, for example. Okay, and again, just to create those different variants takes a lot of time. With the help of AI and with hyperprompts, you can be much, much, much quicker. Okay, and while we are at it, let's basically see what else could be done. For example, if I take here this content, I could also just create or at least pre-generate a page about AI. Let's do it. I'm going to click Generate Page. And then I can basically say what kind of components should be basically used. So I'm just going to take here this content that was already generated. We have some kind of base page with an image, text, and so on. And let's generate this page. Basically, what's happening now is we are just going to ask AI to create, first of all, an empty page. And once the empty page is done, then it's just going to create the components that are pre-selected. Okay, this is going to take a while. Here we go. Here we have already the empty page. It's just starting to select the right image. Then it's just going to generate the text and so on. And obviously this is not a silver bullet to have a complete production-ready website, but it already gives me quite a lot of content that I can then just use to refine and to create this page much, much quicker versus if I would do it completely manually. So let's go to this page, and here we are. Now I could start to select certain components and so on. Okay, that concludes the demo. I think you got now, hopefully, a very good idea that in the end, it's all about automating the usage of systems like Anthropic or like OpenAI to create content much faster for optimization as well as for content production and personalization. Okay.
Great. So we were able to cover content creation, where we get to automatically create text, images, stories, the usual, right? Or even entire pages. Personalization, where we rapidly produce content variations for precisely targeted audiences. And optimization, because who does not want to maximize AI and get it to assist us with various optimization? Now, do read our blogs or head over to the docs tab. It's the right hand side of the screen, the white panel there. Please secure copies of supporting materials and do stay tuned for our upcoming blog posts, where you can also find more visuals around this topic, around the topic of AI and all of that. Now, were you happy with what you saw? Was Jan able to bring AI to content workflows and make the promise of generative AI real? Now, while you answer that yourself, I'm also keen on hearing if you have any specific AI or content workflow topics that you would like us to cover in a follow-up webinar, or any other topic that you would like us to cover in detail in the upcoming webinars. Do drop some suggestions in the chat. Now, while you do both of that, I give you two tasks now. Let's open the stage for Q&A. Jan, I think there's one that we would like you to answer first. I believe some of them we already answered. So does it work with live copy?
Yes, it does, because in the end, it's just a co-pilot, an aid to create content, and therefore the functionality of live copy is not. You can just use it. There's really no difference. Just imagine it like a content editor on steroids. So yeah, absolutely works. There are a lot of questions. That's fantastic, really. What are the additional power requirements for AI? Power requirements. I mean, as we all know, AI data centers require a lot of power. If the question goes into this direction, then obviously using services like ChatGPT, it's just going to have some kind of impact on your carbon footprint if the question goes in this direction. My take on this is, yep, right now it is definitely power hungry, but as always, the efficiency will be obviously much, much higher, and the power consumption will drop. I mean, obviously, the more accessible it gets, then also the more it will be used. So it will definitely require a lot of power, but still, basically the upside is so big that I think it's absolutely worth it. Can you translate in bulk, say, several pages at once? Yes, this can be done, absolutely. For that, we have basically, since a long while now, our AI, our translation workflows. For that, typically, stuff like DeepL is used, and you can just create some kind of work order, just a batch of multiple pages at the same time, and then you can just batch translate those in multiple languages. That is something that works pretty well. What features can I add programmatically? Basically everything. The AI accelerator is meant and is architectured to be extended, because in each and every single call that I have, there are always new ideas, new use cases for AI that are obviously not covered with our standard feature set. What the AI accelerator is, it's just a broad tool set that you can apply wherever you want. And at least for the JavaScript, TypeScript guys out there, set as a complete framework. You can extend it wherever you like, and you do this typically in with JavaScript. So all those different tools that we have seen in Magnolia, they are just in the end, at its core, JavaScript applications that we use. So basically, what features? Every feature.
Sounds good. And I think we're running out of time, but don't panic if we haven't answered your Q&A, because we're going to reach out to you privately. And I guess just keep it coming. We'll answer to you privately. No worries, no rush. Do download our materials. And we say thank you, everybody, for spending the 35 minutes with us today. From Jan and myself, See you in the next webinar. Goodbye, everybody.